Hey everyone, welcome to Founders365 with me, Steven Haggerty. Today we have Mr. Nathan Hirsch. He is the founder of FreeUp, which recently got acquired, and the co-founder of Outsource School. How are you doing today, Nathan?
I am great, man. How are you?
Yeah, man, all good. Thanks so much for doing this, like I said before. So let's jump into this because I'm sure there's a fair few people that have seen you online and heard about the news of FreeUp getting acquired. Was it in December? December or November?
Yeah, end of November-ish.
End of November, yeah. Which seemed a bit out of the blue. But let's talk about how you started back in 2015 with $5,000, and within 4 years you built it up, 12 million in revenue. This is what most people dream of, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was an Amazon seller before that. So I sold on Amazon for 7 years. I did drop shipping before I even knew it was called drop shipping. And I had a lot of success. I think the first few years of Amazon, I thought, hey, I'm onto something new. I'm going to grow this next big e-commerce empire. I'm going to take down Amazon one day. Like, I had really aspiring dreams in e-commerce. But quickly within 4 years, like all the courses, the gurus came out, dropshipping became harder, and it was a cash cow. It was making really good money. There was very little risk, but there was nothing long-term about it. I wasn't building a brand. I was 100% relying on Amazon. I was selling other people's products. I didn't have patents or trademarks, but I had grown this business and had success. We sold over $25 million on Amazon over a 6-7 year period. And we did it primarily using virtual assistants and freelancers. I was pretty young when I got started, and hiring people in person was pretty tough. So I turned to the remote hiring world, the Upworks, the Fivers, and got pretty good at it, hired some good people, but I really hated the process. You post a job, get 50 applicants, interview them one by one. It just took forever. And as an entrepreneur, time was everything. I was overwhelmed. It was taking me weeks to find the right people. And I kept looking for something faster. And in my mind, there just had to be a service out there that I could put in a request. They could get me someone good who's already vetted if I needed a graphic designer, customer service rep, whatever it is. And then on the back end, if anything went wrong, they would just jump in and protect me and make it right and get me someone else or get me credit, whatever it took. And I kept looking and looking, and that didn't exist. So Connor, my business partner, and I said, you know what, let's just build it ourselves. So we took this Rolodex of freelancers that we had worked with over the past 5 years. We took our vetting process that took us 5 years to build, our hiring process that we're now moving over to Outsource School down the line, but we moved that over to FreeUp. And then we spent that $5,000. I always say that 4,500 of it, which is true, went into the software. So we built this minimum viable product, the crummiest software that you could possibly imagine, where freelancers could clock in and clock out. Clients could see freelancers on their side, and that was it. It didn't do anything else. We had to manually add the freelancers when they were hired. People would have to email me when they wanted requests, or call me or Skype me. It was all manual, all Google Docs, and we slowly upgraded the software after that. But that was it. We launched FreeUp, minimum viable product, great group of freelancers, a vetting system in place. So when we ran out of freelancers, we could get new ones, and we took it to the world, and we were very humbled. The response was overwhelmingly positive that first year.
Amazing. That for you, when you took it to the world and that positive response, how did that feel, knowing that actually this was something that it wasn't just you who thought you needed this?
Yeah. So I say overwhelmingly positive, but it started off a little bit negative. So I remember contacting people, and the first response I got back from influencers was, the world doesn't need another freelance marketplace, because back then you had like Upwork, Fiverr, and they were dominant. Like, why would you need another one? And we just kept saying, this is how we are different. The pre-vetting, the speed, the customer service, the protection. If people were doubters and they were influencers, we would give them a free credit to try us out, and we would cross our fingers and hope that they had a good experience and listen to feedback as well. So, I mean, it was humbling. It was exciting. I think for the first time in my life, I was building my own brand, my own business, not relying on Amazon. And then my mentality shifted. I was like, I need to learn how to market. I need to know how to grow a brand. I didn't have to do any of that stuff on Amazon. And not only that, but I'm running a software company. It took me a good year and a half to kind of get in the mentality that we're a software company. I need developers. I need quality assurance. I need someone to run the dev team and have an organized scope and processes and a way to launch and all of that. So it was kind of this big, okay, this is this fun project that's blowing up to, okay, we need to figure out how to actually market this thing and build a good software because we have a lot of people depending on us.
Yeah. That transition from going to having Amazon and then creating a brand to realization of the software development business, because I think there's a lot of companies out there that don't realize what they are. They don't realize they are a software development company or a specific sort of niche. How did that transition happen for you when you started to build out those teams? I'm guessing you used your own platform to build out the team as well.
Yeah, our internal team, we only hired people from the free up marketplace, really practicing what we preach. No office. We work from home. My business partner's in Colorado. I'm in Orlando. No US employees, all VAs and freelancers for higher level stuff. And I mean, we kind of broke down the business. We said, hey, we need a marketing funnel to get clients. We need a marketing funnel to get freelancers because we can't run out of those. And then we need to focus on the software that kind of holds it all together. So every time we'd have quarterly meetings, it was, hey, what are we doing to attract more clients? What are we doing to attract more freelancers? And what improvements are we making to the software? And we had 100 pages of additions we wanted to add to our software. If you think of like Upwork and Fiverr, they've spent millions and millions and millions of dollars on their software, and they're still adding stuff. And we have a long way to catch up. So from there, it was all about prioritizing what comes first, what comes second. Are we focusing on big projects, lots of small projects, and trying to find that balance for what people really like, what's actually going to help the bottom line. And you can't ignore one side either. If all we're launching is client feature, client feature, client feature, and the freelance portal doesn't work very well, that only goes so far. So it really became a balancing act as we went. And I think that's why we're really excited to sell it to a company like the Hoth, who has a lot more resources than us. They have lots of companies. They have a dev team. They have a lot more structure, and they'll be able to move a lot faster than we are, because towards the end of, I would say towards the middle of Free Up, it was like we had really good clients. People loved the freelancers and people hated our software. And by the time we left, it was, okay, our software has gotten to a reasonable standard, but it's still not on the same level as our customer service and our processes and the skills on the platform. So I think they'll be able to bridge that gap.
Yeah, definitely. What was harder in the beginning, getting clients or getting freelancers?
Well, we kind of had the freelancers already because we took them from our Amazon business. Yeah. And I kind of had a little bit of a reputation in the Philippines just because I had built relationships for the past 5 years. So I think when there are jobs and clients looking to hire, that part is a little bit easier than getting the clients to buy and put their credit card in and try a new service. So I think the client side became the main focus. And there was only one point in the entire 4-year period where I was like, oh my God, like we need more freelancers. We had a point where we blew up. I think it was like year 2.5, and it probably took us 2 months to correct that. But outside of that, we did a pretty good job balancing it for the 4 years.
That's pretty cool. The fact that that's a good problem to have, right? Having almost running out of freelancers because of the amount of workload coming in.
Yeah, it's better than the other way, right? Too many freelancers, not enough projects.
Yeah, which is normally how it is on some other sites when you go on them and you just see hundreds and hundreds of projects, and a lot of them have just been sat there for ages. When did the conversation between you and your business partner start coming in terms of the out plan, getting out, selling, or going the exit route?
Yeah, so I think Connor and I have worked together for 10 years, and we have the kind of the same mentality. There's only so many ways that you run a business, right? You either run it forever, you run it into the ground, you get investments or funding, which we didn't want to do. We didn't want to be responsible reporting to other people that invested their money into the business, or you eventually sell it. And we always said with the investing and with the selling, if someone comes to us and they want to invest, we'll hear them out. If someone comes to us and wants to purchase, we'll hear them out, but we're not going to spend our time aggressively looking for investors or looking for buyers. We want to stay focused on growing this business because we really love Free Up. So even going into 2019, we didn't have the mentality that, oh, by the end of this year, we need to sell this thing and unload it. We love Free Up. We plan on continuing to run Free Up. And one of our clients, the Hoth, Mark Hargrove and David Martin, who are great entrepreneurs, they reached out to us and said, hey, we love FreeUp. We've been a client of FreeUp. We want to get into the freelance marketplace space. We don't want to build it from scratch. We'd prefer to acquire one that's already up and running. And we love to get more information and present an offer. And that's kind of like the overall outline. And if we can get on the same page there, then we can figure out the rest of the details and see if we can make it happen. And Connor and I, we were like open to it. We gave them information. They presented an offer that we thought was more than fair, even aggressive. And from there, the due diligence began. And obviously they wanted our financials. They wanted to know every little thing about the business. But on the flip side, we were doing just as much due diligence on them. If we were going to sell our baby, our business that we cared so much about and have all these people that depend on us, from the clients, the freelancers, the partners, our internal team that we care so much about, we wanted to make sure that the people we sell it to weren't going to blow it up or destroy it or put it in a direction that we didn't want it to go. So we learned everything about all their past acquisitions, their success, their failure. We got to go to their office in Tampa and meet their team. We wanted to know how they treat customers on customer service, how they handle problems and issues, because we all know that business isn't just a straight up, stuff happens. So we learned a lot and we were impressed. I mean, this is how we would want our business to be in 20 years and what they built from the Hoth. So after that, it became decision time. I mean, it was tough, but we tried to look at it as what was a win for everyone. And we didn't want a situation where we sold FreeUp and the internal team got fired or lost their jobs or they were miserable because they helped us build it. They deserve to get rewarded. So we made sure that their jobs were going to be secure. We took hundreds of thousands of dollars from the sale and gave it to our internal team in the Philippines to make sure they were taken care of and their families were taken care of. And we made that tough decision. And I always said that if I was going to make that decision, I can't just regret it for the rest of my life, right? I have to be at peace with that decision. And I really do feel, and I still feel, even after the transition, which went unbelievably well, that it's going to be a win for the clients, the partners, the freelancers, a win for the Hoth, a win for Connor and I, and what's important also, really big win for the internal team, and that's kind of where we're at now.
Yeah, that's something really important that you've brought up in terms of looking after your internal team. Was it always like that, or was that something that you only really started thinking about when that sale was on the table, about having, crap, what's going to happen to them?
No, I mean, it's something we definitely cared about. I mean, you always hear of VAs in the Philippines, right? They kind of max out at like $5, $7, $8 an hour. Well, we had team leaders that were getting paid $20 an hour, that their pay went up as the business grew. So obviously you can't do that with all 35 people, depending on the size of your business. But there were people that they started at $3 an hour when FreeUp had zero revenue and we were just getting started, and they helped us ramp up the business. We weren't going to let us sell this business and not make sure they're taken care of. So all their bonus, their raise plans, their rates, their hours, all that continues to be stable and guaranteed going forward. And then hopefully the additional money just puts them in a good place. And it was sad. I remember telling Chicky Ann after we ended up signing the agreement at the Hoth office, and she's been my assistant for 8+ years. I'm the godfather of one of her kids. And wow. She was crying. I mean, I got emotional, and I'm not a very emotional person, but at the end of the day, we were able to give her a large amount of money, secure her job. I'm sure we'll find a way to work together in the future. We can still be friends and have a relationship. And I think I put her in a very good position to succeed, even though me and her won't be working together in that same FreeUp relationship.
Dude, kudos to you. That just shows your values in business and in personal life. I do think that is so vital, because business is often seen as this ruthless game of making money, selling businesses, make more money, sell business again, make even more money, and then like go to space, right? That's sort of like the end goal. But the fact that you've had these core values built throughout your business shows why it's a success, because people wanted to use your platform, wanted to follow you online. One of the things I wanted to speak about is how I remember your post about selling the business on Facebook, and everyone was shocked. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, how has this happened? What's happening with it? Who have you sold it?" All these sort of questions. Was that something deliberate over the fact that you decided to almost drop a bombshell like that, or was that something agreed beforehand during the sale?
Yeah, I mean, the truth is it took about 4 months to actually get from when we talked to Mark and David to actually signing the agreement. Even towards the end, I mean, once we get into that last month and a half, that's when the mind-numbing part comes in, right? The lawyers, our lawyer wants to protect us, our lawyer wants to protect them. They were awesome and professional. We were hopefully awesome and professional, but the lawyers have to do their thing, and you're kind of going back on lots of different things. And you don't know that this is in the bank. At no point is anything signed. So they could have backed out at any moment. We could have backed out at any moment. And I mean, we didn't want to start telling people, hey, we're selling free up and then not have it happen, or tell our internal team and shock them and have it not happen. Or even Connor and my mindset, every single week, we reminded each other, we said, listen, the sale, that's going to take up a part of our day, but we need to stay focused on growing free up. We don't want this to not happen. And the business just started going downhill because we weren't paying attention. And our last month of free up ended up being our most profitable, best month ever because we stayed focused. So there was a part of it. And I remember talking to our assistants and we were explaining to them and all that. And they were like, oh, like you could have given us a heads up. But the truth is we really couldn't, because we didn't even know that this was going to happen. Like, we've never sold a business before. We've never gone through that process. We don't really know what to expect. There could have been things popping up at the end, and there were with different parts of the agreement. So I think one thing that speaks volumes is that Connor and I kept it a secret. But then once we told our internal team a week before, and that's 35 people scattered all over the world, not one person leaked it out to the world. And we told them to keep it a secret. So I think that speaks a lot for how much they value and care about free up and really bought into what we were doing.
Yeah, definitely. And now you're moving on to your next venture. Did this next venture come straight away, or was it sort of like, oh, I've sold it, what do I do now?
So Nate McAllister, I don't know if you know him. He's in the Amazon space. I've known him for years, and he's been talking to me over the past few years. Oh, you got to launch a course, And I didn't really have time for it. I mean, for the past 4 years, I've slept, breathed, free up 24/7. Like, that's all I've done. I haven't really had time to think of other ideas. And I think once we sold free up and we transitioned it, and most importantly, we checked in with our internal team, and they were really happy. They liked the transition so far. They liked the new people we're working with, which was a huge sign of relief, because even after we've done all the due diligence, you never really know how it's going to go until you start that transition and you introduce the people and all of that. And then it was like, okay, what are we focusing on next? And I've been asked by lots of different people how we did it, how we grew a $12 million a year business with 35 full-time VAs in the Philippines, and that's it. And so I want to share our process. And that's really the mindset behind it, is how did we interview people? How did we set expectations? How did we train them and not waste our time? And then once we invested all that time, how did we keep them around? We had a very low turnover. We had people that started with free up in day one and were with us through the sale and beyond, and kept them reliable and motivated and got them to actually buy into the company and the vision, and no one quit when we had the transition. So I think all of that is what it's going to go into our first course at Outsource School, called Cracking the Code of Virtual Assistants, our IOTA method, which stands for interviewing, onboarding, training, managing. And it definitely wasn't thought of before the sale, and it kind of came together right after.
Amazing. So am I now going to go see your Facebook ads where it's like, buy my course, buy my course, buy my course? But I feel like you're not that sort of guy. So how are you going to market this? How are you going to get this course out there?
Yeah, it's funny. For free up, we never really ran Facebook ads. We grew it organically. We spent $1,000 a month on Facebook and Google ads, strictly retargeting, and that was it. I think Nate McAllister brings a little bit more of that Facebook ads. I kind of come from a different place. I know there's all the funnel hackers in the world. I've never really been a big funnel person, but I'm going to put my heart and soul into this course. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure this actually adds value. It's going to have a 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you're not happy, I'm going to refund you, no questions asked. I'm not really interested in stealing anyone's money. I want to be able to build Outsource School into an education platform that helps a lot of people, that benefits a lot of entrepreneurs. And if this course goes really well, we've got ideas for other courses and softwares to help, and different add-ons that we think will add a lot of value, that will hopefully build a community of people that are hiring better remote. And if this course fails, then I'm going to learn a lot from it. I'm going to move on to other things, and I'm going to make sure that no one gets screwed over in the process. So that's kind of my mentality when it comes to business.
Definitely. I'm sure, and I'm pretty sure it will not fail, knowing speaking to you now. What is the biggest struggle that you've seen when people want to go down the outsourcing route? Because it's a theme that's come up in a couple of the podcasts. You know, I know from experience it can be a bit of a drag, let's say. So as a client, what's the biggest struggles that you see?
I think setting expectations and getting on the same page right from the beginning is where the most people go wrong. And that's why I'm pumped. We're going to have a checklist for you to go through, because for me, you're interviewing them, and during the interview, yes, you're talking about rate, you're talking about what the job is and stuff like that. But once you want to present an offer to someone, that's when you really lay down the expectations. Hey, I have an offer for you. This is what it is. This is how many hours, but I want to go through this. I want to talk about your schedule. I want to talk about what's going to be expected if you do get this job, how we communicate, what your backup plans are if you lose power, if you lose internet, and I can go on and on. And I've gotten pretty good at it. It takes me about 20 minutes to talk to someone and figure out, hey, they get it or they don't. And most importantly, I give them a chance to back out. I've had plenty of VAs who I go through these expectations and they're like, I don't want this. This seems too intense for me. I don't want to handle this. I want something easier or different or whatever it is. And that's totally fine. I would much rather they do that than waste my time or my team's time going forward. So that part is where people mess up. And I talk to a lot of VAs on the FreeUp marketplace, VAs that work with other clients. And there's so many times where someone gets started in a job, in a project, in a role, and it's completely different from everything that you just talked about, everything that was in the job posting. And that's because the client didn't take the time to really set the expectations, which leads to a better, honest relationship down the line.
Definitely. If you were going to start FreeUp today, 4 years from now, do you think it could be done again?
4 years from now, I don't know. I think that the freelance economy is going in the right direction. I think there's a big need. I think there's been different copycats of FreeUp, which I think is a compliment. People have tried to go either like FreeUp, but just for marketers, or FreeUp, like just for Amazon or whatever. And who knows what that's going to look like in 4 years. I think it is a very tough business model to copy, only because it's a software company. So you're investing in software. You have to be able to get clients, get freelancers, and then get them to like you and stick around and not go to the competition. And I think it is that balancing act. So it's not the easiest thing. Like, not that launching a course is easy, but you film a course, you get it up, you run ads or you market it. And there's only so many things you're balancing there. So I don't know. I think there are a lot of entrepreneurs that are way better than me out there that could probably put it together differently or better or more structured. But I think everything's going in the direction of the gig economy, where FreeUp's in a really good place going forward.
Fantastic. Did you have much involvement in FreeUp's sort of next 12 months, 18 months plan in terms of what the new owners are going to do with it?
No, not so much in terms of like the marketing and stuff. I mean, I was the face of FreeUp, right? So I've always said that you can be replaced as a marketer and a salesperson. One of the reasons we're able to sell FreeUp is, yes, I was the face, but the day-to-day operations ran without me. The billing, the customer service, the lead generation, the social media. Yes, I would check in and check in with clients and build relationships and all that. But if you remove me from the day-to-day, the business still runs. It might not grow as fast. So removing me from the podcast and the marketing and the face, yeah, that probably hurts a little bit, but you can always replace that strategy. You can come in with a different strategy for sales and marketing, and hopefully a better one, and have a lot of success as long as the day-to-day operations are running at a very high level. So that's always been my mentality. So they're going to come in with the same people. It's the same team. They've already made some incredible process changes that I know the internal team is pumped about. They like it a lot more than the process under Connor and I. It's more organized, and Connor and I, it could have taken us years to implement those. And now they have to come up with their own plan. How are they going to market this thing? How are they going to get out there and really build it? And I think they've proven from their other acquisitions that they can come up with that plan and execute it. And I don't think they need Connor and my advice there.
How did it feel when you signed that bit of paper? Mainly because, and the reason behind this question is because FreeUp was like your first brand, your first out there business that wasn't, like you said, Amazon or anything like that. That's a big deal in terms of almost like selling your kid, I bet, a little bit.
It was. I feel like I didn't enjoy the signing moment only because the next thought in my head was I have to tell Cheeky Ann because it wasn't until we talked to everyone on the internal team and it sunk in a little bit and we answered their questions and we told them about the money that we're giving them and explained to them that we're not going anywhere. We're not disappearing off the planet. They can still contact us. And then really when I checked in with them a month later and they were still happy and they really liked the transition, that's when I really started to relax and be like, okay, we made the right decisions. We're in a good place now. So yeah, it was exciting. You're signing a paper, you're selling your first company, your life kind of changes forever going forward. But at the same time, I knew that the next part of telling everyone was going to be even harder and nothing that I've ever had to do before.
Got to ask, what did you do to celebrate?
So I'm a very frugal person, so I didn't go out and buy a car or anything like that. I celebrated with Connor. Right? We actually went and got drinks with the team at the Hoth and celebrated with them a little bit. And then Connor and I to the Hoth in Tampa. We came back to my place in Orlando and hung out with my fiance Quinn and just kind of reflected and talked and discussed next steps and how much of a fun adventure it was. I mean, it was a really fun 4 years, and we learned a ton. We got to meet a lot of great people and it was fun. And I think going forward, we're going to be better for it.
For sure. So with outsourced school, for you, is this just going to be like an academy or do you want to bring more to this sort of new venture? Because there's loads of academies, there's loads of courses. What makes your new venture stand out?
Yeah, I haven't seen anyone tackle the VA space, at least in the way that I would want to tackle it. So I think it's going to stay out just in that content that we're in an age where you can hire virtual assistants to scale your business. And businesses that I build tend to go in a slightly different direction than we plan. So in my mind, it's let's get this first course out there. Let's make sure it has success. Let's listen to feedback. Let's see what people like, what people don't like. And then from there, we can figure out what that next step is. And we have some software ideas that we think that we can incorporate in there. We have some other ideas for courses. We've had influencers reach out to us and say, hey, I want to teach a course on using creative freelancers, or I want to teach a course on using VAs for email marketing. So I think if we can get that first course out there, a lot of opportunities are going to open up, and then we're going to have to make some decisions on what direction we want to go.
When's the first course due?
In the next 30 to 60 days, something like that.
I like the sigh. It's like, it's supposed to be in the next 30 to 60 days.
I mean, the truth is I've never launched a course before, so we might bang it out in the next 3 weeks and it might take 90 days, but we're going to make sure when we do launch it, it's high quality. It's not rushed. I think Connor and I are still kind of in, I don't want to say rest mode, but we're coming off a crazy 4 years. So we're not going to be working 20-hour days to get this done. We're going to be enjoying life while also putting our heart and soul into it. And however long it takes, it'll take, and we'll get it out there and hopefully get some feedback.
Here's a question for you then. When you sold and when you took that time to tell the team and all that kind of stuff, and the days after that, did you go through any period where you thought, okay, what am I now going to do with my time? Because you spent so much of even though it was all outsourced, you still spent most of your time thinking about Free Up, I'm sure.
Yeah, I did. And I'm trying to try as many things as possible. I'm learning real estate right now. I want to get into real estate investing. I'm actually learning Vietnamese. My fiance is Vietnamese, so that's more of a side non-business thing. Outsource school is something that we decided to work on. We've got some software ideas that we're still kind of figuring out in our back pocket with our developer that we used on Free Up, who was also part of the buyout. And yeah, I mean, I've been meeting with different entrepreneurs. I've had entrepreneurs present me with ideas. I've talked about angel investing. So I think the first 6 months after the sale, I want to learn as much as possible, read as much as possible, network as much as possible, see what opportunities are out there. And who knows where I'll end up in 6 months. I mean, if you had asked me 10 years ago if I'd be selling baby products on Amazon, wouldn't have believed you. If you had asked me 5 years ago if I'd be running a freelance marketplace, I wouldn't have believed you. And if you asked me a year and a half ago if I'd sell Free Up, I wouldn't have believed you. So life has an interesting way of leading you down a path. And I want to just see what opportunities are out there and what I like and what's working and kind of slowly make decisions instead of just me thinking for a week and being like, this is my path forward.
Exactly. If my second to last question for you, Nathan, and it's a really tricky question for people to answer, but I love asking it. if you could do it all again, what would you do differently?
Oh man. There wouldn't be much I would change. I mean, I definitely would have looked at it as a software company earlier. I learned a lot in the transition period with the Hoth of different softwares that they implemented. So Groove HQ, never heard of it before. They implemented it and the team loved it. And it was way better than email. They use Slack over Skype, which I'm now using Slack with Outsource School. So I think there's things that I learned in the brief time that we worked with the Hoth that I'm going to apply going forward and that I could have applied to FreeUp back then. But I mean, the whole thing worked out. Looking back doesn't, in my mind, accomplish anything opposed to just learning lessons on what you can do going forward.
100%. So my last question, something I asked to all my guests, is if you could give 3 tips to any founder out there that is going to help grow their business like you've done, what would they be?
My first tip is get out there in terms of PR, in terms of podcasts. Get in as many guest blog posts as possible. Get on as many podcasts as possible. Get your name out there. You don't have to go on as a generic business person, but if you're in insurance, find every insurance podcast and get on there. Get really well known in your niche, whatever that niche is. Second is come up with a process for delegation. I have a 90-day rule where I don't do anything longer than 90 days. The first 30 days, I'm throwing stuff against the wall, seeing what's working, seeing what's not. By the end of that, I have a pretty good idea of what's working and what's not. And in that second month, I'm kind of fine tuning it. I'll probably hire someone by the end of that month, spend that third month training them. And by the end of the 90 days, it's off my plate, ready to go. And if you get in the habit of that, instead of just adding to your to-do list and making sure you're taking stuff off your to-do list, your business is going to scale and grow. And my last tip is you got to surround yourself with people that have the same core values, the same beliefs as you. For me, it's customer service, it's treating people well, it's being a man of my word. I only want to work with people that have those values. But I don't want to work with anyone that's an exact copy of me. I want them to have the exact opposite skill sets as me. I want them to love doing everything that I hate doing and being good at things that I'm bad at. And when you surround yourself with business partners, lawyers, accountants, freelancers, employees, virtual assistants that have the same core values but opposite skill sets, that's how you scale your business.
Boom. Nathan, it has been an honor to speak to you, and I'm so privileged that I got a bit of your time. If anyone wants to reach out to you and follow this new venture of yours and hopefully buy the course when you do launch it in 30 to 60 days, how is the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, go to outsourceschool.com, join our newsletter. We're giving out lots of freebies out there. I just built this awesome VA calculator that we'll be giving out. We have a case study on what our teams look like in year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4 before we sold it. So you can get a glimpse into how you can build and structure your team as you scale, and a lot of other great tips and resources for hiring VAs. And you'll also get beta access when we launch the course. So outsourceschool.com, join the wait list, and feel free to connect with me on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. I'm pretty easy to contact.
All of them, just everywhere. It's easy. No, thank you again, Nathan, for coming on to Founders365. You've been fantastic. I've been Steven Haggerty. This has been episode 29. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.